This is Viewpoint.
Welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Doug Petcash. Are you one of those people who looks for ways to make the world a better place, maybe through random acts of kindness, volunteering for nonprofits, or making a donation to your favorite cause or causes? Jessica Jackley found and created a way to make change through entrepreneurship around the world. While doing work for a nonprofit in East Africa, she was inspired by people making change in their own lives through entrepreneurship. She wrote a book about her experiences with those she met. It's called Clay, Water, Brick: Finding Inspiration from Entrepreneurs Who Do the Most with the Least. She's the co-founder of Kiva, the world's first and largest peer-to-peer micro-lending website. We'll explain that coming up. According to Jackley's biography, Kiva lets users lend as little as $25 to aspiring entrepreneurs around the globe, providing affordable capital for them to start or expand micro-enterprises. Since its founding, Kiva has raised more than $1 billion for entrepreneurs in more than 200 countries. She's also the founder of Altruists, which offers at-home, kid-friendly volunteer projects for families. And the list goes on. Jackley will be the dinner keynote speaker at the Idaho Women's Charitable Foundation Symposium coming up on Tuesday, October 18th at the Boise Center. This year's theme is Entrepreneurial Philanthropy, Celebrating Change-Making Women. Tickets are $100 through the IWCF website on your screen. IWCF says the all-day symposium provides education about community needs and opportunities for philanthropy to positively impact the lives of people in Southwest Idaho. Over the years, the Idaho Women's Charitable Foundation has granted more than $5 million to organizations across Southwest Idaho. Jessica Jackley is definitely a change-making woman, and she is my guest today. Jessica, good morning, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Well, to set up our conversation, I think I need to start by asking you, what is your definition, under your philosophy, of an entrepreneur?
One of my favorite things to talk about, so thank you for that question. You know, there are as many definitions as there are entrepreneurs, and I really love to build off of Howard Stevenson, a Harvard Business School professor's definition. And it sounds very academic at first, but bear with me. It's entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity without regard to resources currently controlled.
Okay.
Doesn't sound maybe that fascinating, but what I take from that is entrepreneurs are moving forward towards this invisible picture of what they have in their mind for the future, this vision, this opportunity. And they're doing so no matter what comes, no matter what they have or don't have in any moment, no matter what barriers come up, or what the world tells them they can and can't do, or what those voices inside of us say that we can or can't do. So great entrepreneurs, whether they start with a little or a lot, keep moving towards those goals without regard to the barriers that come up.
Now, and you've said that in the jacket of your book even, you know, the greatest entrepreneurs succeed not because of what they possess, but because of what they do. Do you say that because maybe the general perception of an entrepreneur is somebody who has this massive capital backing or money of their own to get something started?
Yes, I think entrepreneurship in general can get over glorified. It's waking up every day and doing the hard work of figuring out what's next, figuring out how to navigate and be nimble and solve problems all the time. I first was really exposed to it in Silicon Valley. And I think it can really get overhyped there and have a certain kind of culture associated with it, a certain kind of community. It's an incredible place. I felt like when I moved to Silicon Valley, I moved into the future. It was amazing. And there's so many people there that say, you know, what if we build this? What if we go do this? And there's a community of support that's unmatched that can help propel people towards whatever they decide to build. And I think for me, when I first, so I saw
From Idaho's News Channel 7, this is Viewpoint.
Welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Doug Petcash. Are you one of those people who looks for ways to make the world a better place, maybe through random acts of kindness, volunteering for nonprofits, or making a donation to your favorite cause or causes? Jessica Jackley found and created a way to make change through entrepreneurship around the world. While doing work for a nonprofit in East Africa, she was inspired by people making change in their own lives through entrepreneurship. She wrote a book about her experiences with those she met. It's called Clay, Water, Brick: Finding Inspiration from Entrepreneurs Who Do the Most with the Least. She's the co-founder of Kiva, the world's first and largest peer-to-peer micro-lending website. We'll explain that coming up. According to Jackley's biography, Kiva lets users lend as little as $25 to aspiring entrepreneurs around the globe, providing affordable capital for them to start or expand micro enterprises. Since its founding, Kiva has raised more than $1 billion for entrepreneurs in more than 200 countries. She's also the founder of Altruists, which offers at-home, kid-friendly volunteer projects for families. And the list goes on. Jackley will be the dinner keynote speaker at the Idaho Women's Charitable Foundation Symposium coming up on Tuesday, October 18th at the Boise Center. This year's theme is Entrepreneurial Philanthropy, Celebrating Change-Making Women. Tickets are $100 through the IWCF website on your screen. IWCF says the all-day symposium provides education about community needs and opportunities for philanthropy to positively impact the lives of people in Southwest Idaho. Over the years, the Idaho Women's Charitable Foundation has granted more than $5 million to organizations across Southwest Idaho. Jessica Jackley is definitely a change-making woman, and she is my guest today. Jessica, good morning, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Well, to set up our conversation, I think I need to start by asking you, what is your definition, under your philosophy, of an entrepreneur?
One of my favorite things to talk about, so thank you for that question. You know, there are as many definitions as there are entrepreneurs, and I really love to build off of Howard Stevenson, a Harvard Business School professor's definition. And it sounds very academic at first, but bear with me. It's entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity without regard to resources currently controlled.
Okay.
Doesn't sound maybe that fascinating, but what I take from that is entrepreneurs are moving forward towards this invisible picture of what they have in their mind for the future, this vision, this opportunity. And they're doing so no matter what comes, no matter what they have or don't have at any moment, no matter what barriers come up, or what the world tells them they can and can't do, or what those voices inside of us say that we can or can't do. So great entrepreneurs, whether they start with a little or a lot, keep moving towards those goals without regard to the barriers that come up.
Now, and you've said, like, in the jacket of your book even, you know, the greatest entrepreneurs succeed not because of what they possess, but because of what they do. Do you say that because maybe the general perception of an entrepreneur is somebody who has this massive capital backing or money of their own to get something started?
Yes, I think entrepreneurship in general can get over glorified. It's waking up every day and doing the hard work of figuring out what's next, figuring out how to navigate and be nimble and solve problems all the time. I first was really exposed to it in Silicon Valley. And I think it can really get overhyped there and have a certain kind of culture associated with it, a certain kind of community. It's an incredible place. I felt like when I moved to Silicon Valley, I moved into the future. It was amazing. And there's so many people there that say, you know, what if we build this? What if we go do this? And there's a community of support that's unmatched that can help propel people towards whatever they decide to build. And I think for me, when so I saw it there and I felt a little intimidated, to be honest with you, because so much is about scaling and, you know, having just the most gigantic vision possible. And then when I went to East Africa for some work with an organization that I was interning with, a nonprofit, I met entrepreneurs who started with a few dollars, if that, and to start from that level and to build up and to truly also have these entrepreneurial spirits and entrepreneurial hearts and to use similar principles that I saw at work in giant tech startups. You know, the same principles worked in tiny kiosks and fruit stands, or a goat herder, you know, instead of wanting to grow from 10 to 50 goats. So I saw the bridge there, and I found that to be a much less intimidating starting point to really understand and embrace it.
And you mentioned, you know, the book, Clay, Water, Brick, once again,
Yes.
and this is Jessica Jackley's book. And the title comes from one of the stories that you start with, of Patrick the brickmaker. What's his story that made him, in your mind, an entrepreneur?
Yeah, you know, I hate to say this because I heard so many stories like his, meaning stories where people began with so little, began with nearly nothing, and then made it into something incredible. So his story, in short, is he fled the northern area of Uganda when a rebel group attacked his village, and he made it out alive with his younger brother, but the rest of his family did not. His home was burnt to the ground. They lost all their animals, all the crops, everything. So he fled with nothing, just the shirt on his back, not even shoes on his feet. And he sort of landed with some distant cousins on a border town between Kenya and Uganda, and basically decided, I mean, it wasn't so much as a decision as a necessity, but he had to survive every day, and he didn't have anything. So as he's sort of trying to figure it out, he realizes the ground beneath his feet has potential. So he starts to dig, first just with his hands, then some other implements, and finds clay deposits, mixes that clay with water, and forms these rough, lumpy bricks. But he does that every day, again and again, for months, and gets better and better, learns how to dry the bricks in the sun, buys a brick mold to up his production, learns how to bake the bricks in a kiln, a self-contained kiln over a fire. And the guy was just off to the races. He had hired several people and had a booming little business by the time I met him. So to hear
just
those
realizing
kinds of
what was
stories
under
again
his
and again
feet.
and again.
Yeah, just realizing what was under his feet.
It looked like nothing, and he made it into something really valuable.
And so how did your experiences there lead you to the idea of Kiva, and how does Kiva work?
So this was way back in 2005 that we began, myself and my co-founder, Matt. So Matt was more of the tech guy. And so he was back in San Francisco, sort of building out our basic platform, our basic site. And I was there with entrepreneurs in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania in the beginning. And now it's all over the world. But basically, the concept came out of a desire to tell a different story of poverty and potential, not one that was just, that there's this echo chamber, I feel like, among many well-intentioned NGOs and nonprofits to only focus on the tough stuff, right? And it's effective in raising dollars sometimes. But there's also a very beautiful story in any one of our lives, right? Of triumph, of victory, of the things that are working well, of the things that we do have, even if it's just the air that we're breathing and the ground beneath our feet. So we wanted to tell a new story of the individuals that I was meeting, and we wanted to provide a new way for people to respond. So you hear a story of sadness and suffering and desperation, you feel guilty and bad and afraid, and you give, and you might give out of a place that isn't really anchored in hopefulness, in the belief that good things might happen. You just kind of want to do it because it's a panicky moment. When you hear a story of entrepreneurship, which is just as true, and yes, of need, but the full story, right? When you hear that, to give people an opportunity to respond differently out of a different place emotionally and otherwise, we wanted to provide a different vehicle. So to contribute to a 0% loan to that individual was what we built Kiva on that concept. So basically $25 at a time, all over the world. If people have an internet connection and a PayPal account or a credit card, they can lend that 25 or 50 or more to an entrepreneur that just needs a few hundred usually. And then over time, repayment rates have traditionally been around 98, 99%. So it's actually quite exceptional. And yeah, people get their money back without interest, and they go on and they most often lend again. And that's happened for $1.7 almost billion over the last 14, 15 years.
Wow. So these are, like, I guess that's where the word micro comes in. These are small loans for small businesses all over the world. But why loans and not grants?
Loans are effective. It's what works. Grants are great, but when somebody has skin in the game and they genuinely have autonomy at the end of it, they've earned it. They've built something, not because somebody felt bad and gave them a break, but because it was fair access to capital. I mean, if you and if I go start a for-profit business to create a sustainable livelihood for my family, I mean, grants are great, but there's an entire world out there of other types of capital, right? And so I've never gone after, unless it was for a pure nonprofit, a charity, I've never gone after grant funding as a way to build a business. It's not the correct tool, whatever the size of the business. So many entrepreneurs actually perform better when they know that they're on the hook to pay back, even if the loan terms are absolutely, they should be, right? Completely fair and friendly and flexible. So it ends up working better than just grants, but grants also have a place too. So a lot of the entrepreneurs I met in the very, very beginning started their journeys with a $100 grant. And then I met them when they were ready for that $300 loan.
It makes so much sense, though. You have skin in the game. You're going to work harder to make your dream or your idea a success. And Jessica, we're going to take a short break right now. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on Viewpoint. Stay with us. And welcome back to Viewpoint. I'm talking about making change through entrepreneurship with my guest, Jessica Jackley. She is the author of the book, Clay, Water, Brick, Finding Inspiration from Entrepreneurs Who Do the Most with the Least. She's also the co-founder of the peer-to-peer micro-lending website, Kiva, among other ventures. Ventures and adventures, I guess you could say. Jessica, what inspired you at a young age to want to tackle global poverty, basically?
I don't know if I would have said that's the thing I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be helpful to the people around me, and that was born out of a really lovely, loving upbringing in a faith community. I went to this old sleepy Presbyterian church where, like, my mom had been baptized and my parents were married there, and it's just kind of what we always did. And I found it deeply meaning and instructive. I felt like I had been. It was so clear to me that we're on, we are given so much so that we can give back, so that we can serve. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. And I certainly didn't think I could take on global poverty, but I did think I could be useful to the people maybe near and far if I was thoughtful about it.
Had you seen yourself as an entrepreneur before trying to start Kiva?
No, in fact, I had, I'm laughing because I actually thought business was bad and evil, and I thought entrepreneurs were like the worst, that they were the gang leaders. They were starting businesses. I mean, these little machines for greed. I just thought it could only be bad. So my view, and I've come around here, obviously, but my view of the world was so polarized. I really thought, well, nonprofits are the good guys, NGOs, charities, they're the good guys. And there might be some others in there too, but basically that's where you go to find your people. And then businesses, they were just making stuff people didn't need. Very like, who's in the Lorax, the Onceler? Anyway, I just thought that was business. And then fast forward a bunch. I never studied entrepreneurship. I studied philosophy and poetry. Nothing that got me even close to that. But then my first job out of college was a temp job at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. And I knew I was in the lion's den. I was so scared. But it turned out it was a great place. And I happened to also be a temp in the Center for Social Innovation, where every day people were walking through those doors and thinking about how to solve problems like global poverty using business skills and entrepreneurial thinking. Even then, I didn't know that I would be it, but I thought, okay, entrepreneurs aren't so bad. I see them creating good things too, nonprofits, for-profits, all sorts of hybrids. Maybe it's not so bad, and maybe I should pay attention. And then later, years later, I sort of stumbled into doing what, at first was a project and then became this giant thing. Mm-hmm. And then I was off to the races.
So when you speak to a group such as at the upcoming Idaho Women's Charitable Foundation, without giving away your whole speech, of course, what is the heart of your message?
It's really that we can all operate in an entrepreneurial way. We can live and work and do relationships entrepreneurially, meaning the basics, right? We can look for solutions instead of seeing problems as, impenetrable things. We can overcome barriers. We can get, over, around, and through, even when we don't necessarily feel like we have everything we need to get there. We can be mindful about how the things that we build might be able to be sustainable and have lives of their own. If we resource them and sort of wrap them in the right communities of support, we can basically solve problems, right? We can make things better. There's always a way to do that. There's always kind of a way forward. And that's the biggest possible message. And that's sort of the heartbeat of it for me, of what entrepreneurship can be at its best.
So you've started many different things and worked for different organizations. And one of your newest ventures is a thing called Altruists. Can you explain what that is?
I can, and I can show too. I have boxes all over my messy office. It's not good to have a mirror behind you because you just see all the mess all the time. There's no hiding. So Altruists creates at home kind of DIY impact projects, volunteer projects. I have 4 little kids, and during the pandemic, our fourth was born in February, right before the world got weird in 2020. And basically, I was so frustrated that our lives were a lot of sort of it was a one-way valve of consumption. We would, my husband would go out hunting for groceries, come back all covered in masks and everything. And we would just, I felt like all we were doing was encountering the world through this one-way flow. And I thought, well, we can't volunteer right now. It's not safe. And my kids can't hop online and do virtual volunteering. There's just not a lot of kid-friendly online based things, and I didn't want them on more screens anyway. So I thought, what if I made family-friendly project sets, kits, where kids could, for example, we have one on unhoused populations and homelessness, among other activities to learn about the issue. Kids can make keychains, one to keep, one to give, and color in a card, and that keychain and card are mailed to our partner in Mexico, where it's literally handed to a family moving out of homelessness into their first home with their house key on it. So our community of kiddos get to be a part of these really special moments. This one is one of our most popular. It's on food insecurity. It's adorable. My kids already did this one, so it's a little messy inside. I think they have fingerprints everywhere. But basically, this one, this fridge becomes a little tool for understanding food deserts. Again, totally messy because my kids got to it. The project, the Impact Project, we work with a beautiful food bank in Nashville, and kids color in a reusable grocery bag and a card and mail that so that it can be given out to folks using that food pantry in Nashville. We do things internationally. There's one on energy poverty. Kids do it's a solar lantern that's powered and given by the purchase of this box. It ships from Kenya to Tanzania. It's not like from Boise all the way back and all over the globe. So we keep our footprint low. And then it's just the last one I'll show. I want to talk about product all day, but basically this one's with charity water, clean water, and kids learn about that issue as well. And there's all these good things they can do at home and beyond in the box.
If one of the viewers is interested in finding out more about that or taking one of these projects on, how would they do that?
You just go to Altruists, ALLTRUISTS.com, and our products are $29. There's some that are $10 and $15, so they're pretty accessible. They're $25 when you bundle or do a subscription. So we hope that this makes volunteerism, service, much more accessible and easy and interesting to do with your families on your own time.
It's also the idea, to get kids thinking in that altruistic way and making volunteering or charitable giving a part of their lives.
Yeah. And without, I think it's tricky because these conversations come up, we all think about the one big talk, the birds and bees talk. But at least we all know most of the answers to that, right? But these topics, I had a friend say to me, oh my gosh, my kids are asking me about climate change and I don't know what to say. Or I have no idea what to tell them when they ask me every day on our walk to school if we can give to this unhoused person on the street, because I don't feel comfortable. But people get flustered because it's a lot to cover. But there are a lot of talks to have. And I think these are great guides, and they're not you feel terrible at the end of it. They're not all bad news. They're truthful, but not terrifying. There's some fun facts, not so fun facts, empathy building stories. We try to give tools that are really enjoyable to learn about the reality of the world. And most importantly, all the ways that we can get involved and jump in and help.
Jessica, we're going to take one more break. And on the other side, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
And welcome back once again. My guest today is Jessica Jackley. We're talking about making change through entrepreneurship, whether it's in your own life or someone you know or somewhere around the world. And Jessica, I'm curious, what motivates you to keep doing what you're doing?
I feel so lucky, so blessed that I get to choose my work. Let's start there. And then I think it's easy to fall into these assumptions that you can only do something for one reason. You can only do something because you want to be able to pay your bills, or you can only do something because it's the right thing to do, and that those are mutually exclusive. But you can only build something with a real pure social mission if you're willing to, live on ramen forever and not make a healthy income. And the truth is, they're just those are limitations that maybe existed before but are not true today. So to me, it feels intellectually lazy and not as interesting, not as challenging to build just a regular old company that isn't thinking as broadly as possible about risk and opportunity, about impact. Every little machine, every company, organization has an impact, the social impact, far and whether it's small or large. It's just a matter of owning it and acknowledging it. So it could be good, bad, or ugly. And I'd rather not be asleep at the wheel. I'd rather get ahead of it, know what I'm making, know what I'm trying to do, and control that. And I truthfully believe I do investing as well through a fund that I started with my incredible friend, Yohei. It's called Untapped Capital. And basically we have this standard for the folks we invest in as well. There's the companies that are thoughtful about their impact will succeed and they're going to win in the long run. So it's selfish, but not really.
Do you think that is possible to end global poverty, or is it going to be that one person at a time kind of approach that could really help chip away at it?
I think there is beauty and value to be found in those one-on-one interactions. And the truth is, if we all were more aligned to do that, to help the people right around us, we'd all be a lot better off. That said, there are systems that lock us into, unfortunately, intractable situations, intractable poverty. I will be the first to say, like, I've had every advantage, and there are people that have not, and that there's systemic issues, right? It's a longer conversation, but I don't believe those are necessarily unsolvable, but I believe it's going to take some real dismantling and some very creative restructuring of our society and our the way we reward and measure value. It's very narrowly defined, and rewards those that already have a head start. So I don't believe it's impossible. No, there's no reason it should be, but I do think it requires both the day-to-day small stuff and radical revolutionary shifts in the structure of a lot of systems that keep things pretty stagnant in a lot of ways. But I want to end on a positive note. So I will say, if you look at over time, things are getting better. You look at the global goals, you look at how far we're coming, we are getting there. And I have a lot of hope.
Jessica Jackley, the author of Clay, Water, Brick, the founder of Kiva, the world's biggest micro-lending website, and my guest today on Viewpoint. Jessica, thank you so much for your time again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And again, I want to let you know that Jessica Jackley will be the dinner keynote speaker at the Idaho Women's Charitable Foundation Symposium. That is coming up on Tuesday, October 18th at the Boise Center. This year's theme is Entrepreneurial Philanthropy, Celebrating Change-Making Women. Tickets are $100 through the IWCF website that you see on your screen right there. Well, that is all of our time for this morning's Viewpoint. I'm Doug Petcash. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here tonight for the Sunday News at 4:30 because it's an NFL Sunday, and also the Sunday News at 10. Have a great day.